Welcome back to Coach Connect. We're waiting to go live on all our different platforms. So as they all sync up, just getting started in a few minutes here. As always, if you have any questions, you can throw them in the LinkedIn chat. We'll try to address them during our episode, but we're always available afterwards as well. So once we're all synced up, we'll officially get started. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to go live. All right, so we're officially live on the platform, so we'll go ahead and get started here. Welcome back to Coach Connect. Here's where we explore the stories and strategies and insights from trailblazers who are transforming the world of coaching and well-being. What drives their success? What fuels their passion for helping others? We're here to uncover their secrets and share them with you. This show is brought to you by Vibely.io, the all-in-one coaching platform designed to empower coaches with tools, resources, and support they need to thrive and help their clients achieve meaningful, long-lasting growth. I'm Dr. Diego Salinas, your guide on this journey. As a neuroscientist, physician, and health coach, and the co-founder of Vibely, I'm committed to celebrating the incredible work of coaches everywhere and helping them unlock their full potential. So together, let's dive in deep into what makes coaching a powerful force of change. Today, guest Kim Black is a results-driven leadership and well-being expert and is dedicated to empowering individuals to lead with authenticity, passion, and purpose. A professional certified coach, board-certified health and wellness coach, and lifestyle medicine practitioner, Kim leverages over 2 decades of experience in helping leaders develop resiliency and understand the link between leadership success and well-being. Her unique ability to inspire and motivate, combined with her storytelling gift and vibrant personality, has made her a software speaker and facilitator globally. Kim's 25-year career at PwC spanned diverse industries and roles, providing with deep insight into challenges leaders face. Kim is also a published author, blogger, former podcast host, and passionate advocate for women in leadership and burnout prevention. Her personal journey to authenticity fuels her passion for guiding others to success, health, and wellness. Kim lives in Rio Ranch, New Mexico, with her husband and Shiba Inu, Luna Lovegood, and is the mother of 3 grown-ups and a grandmother to a spicy 3-year-old. Kim, welcome to today's episode. Really honored to have you today.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here. And hopefully my video, or not my video, but my sound is not picking up said Shiba Inu, Luna Lovegood, chewing on her bone over here in the corner. So
Well, Kim, we're in parallel. You should keep my little dog Mork in the room today. I forgot to. He's under the sofa, so hopefully he won't bark when the mailman comes.
no FedEx deliveries today.
Yeah. Well, Kim, so again, I'm really excited for today's topic. Something that
Same.
near and dear to my heart for sure, and we've had some wonderful conversations. But before we dive into burnout, kind of people are always curious in that origin story. You mentioned that storytelling and your own journey authenticity. If you could maybe give us a little bit of a background, kind of what led you into well-being, into this kind of work that you're doing now.
Yeah, so whenever I hear you say origin story, it makes me kind of think of X-Men or something. So I try to figure out like what's my superhero persona, and I haven't gotten there yet. So we're gonna just go with the boring piece of it. But as you mentioned, I worked for a very large professional services organization for almost 25 years, and about halfway through that journey, I was feeling pretty burned out, and I had really lost my kind of sense of direction. So I went and spoke to my mentor, who said, "Have I got a deal for you?" And so she started telling me about this amazing program that the firm offered to our newly promoted senior associates. And as she kept talking about it and telling me about it, just the vibration in my body, I just was like shaking. This is it. This is it. So I connected with the woman who started that program, who is now a very, very dear friend. And I said, I want to do this. I want to do this. And she said, "Are you a coach?"
Mm.
And I was like, "Well, yeah, I coach people. I'm a manager. I've been in leadership roles. Of course, I coach people." And she's like, "No, no, no. Are you a certified professional coach?" And I was like, No. And she says, "Call me back when you are."
Mm.
Cool. So that was a Wednesday. Talked to her on a Thursday. Signed up for IPEC coaching uh, school on Monday. So it was pretty quick. Went and did that. Did that. I loved it. It was the first time that someone had asked me about my values.
Mm.
And never had someone say, "What is important to you?" I thought I knew, but not so much. So going through that whole coaching journey. So I finished coaching school, called, said, "Hey, what are we? What I'm ready to go. I finished coaching school. Put me in, coach."
Put me in,
And
coach.
yeah, put me in, coach. And she's like, "No, no, no, no. Excuse me, it's dry here in the desert. Um, if you know, do you have an ICF certification?" I was like, no. She's like, "Call me back when you do."
Mm.
So I went off, I got my coaching hours. I coached like a mad woman, just like anybody I could find who was willing to be coached. I was loving it. It gave me
Mm.
so much fuel and so much energy. And I really, for the first time, felt like, yeah, this is where I'm meant to be. Long story
Wow.
short, I wound up working on that project, that program, for almost 10 years before COVID shut us down. But I also then, throughout that process, went and got an additional coaching certification, the National Board of Health and Wellness Coaching, as because I really felt like my own journey of burnout would be supported by that, and then that could
Mm.
also support others. But that's
Mm.
where I landed. That's how I got there.
That's beautiful, Kim. It's kind of example of so we talked before, when you're passionate, it's when you do the most work, right? When that natural fuel
Right.
is there, and you found something that really you're looking for support, you found it in a whole new way, and you said, this is really drawing to me." You put the fuel to the fire, you did all the steps, and then even when you said, "I love it," the way your energy changed there, right? Really found something that like now you can give back the way someone has supported you, and it feels really congruent with how you want to spend your energy in the world.
Right. Totally.
Yeah. So Kim, so maybe starting way off on 101, so, being two kind of nerds here, like let's maybe define burnout, right? Because like it's a word that's used so much and so often,
Yeah.
right? And it's a little confused that, hey, it's not a diagnosis, it's a DSM-5, but what is, or how would you describe burnout when you're talking to a new
Right.
audience about
So
this?
to your point, burnout is not technically in the manual of mental health diagnoses. However, burnout really is stress over an extended period of time.
Mm.
That's pretty much what it is. Um, yeah, when you're not when you're stressed out and you continue to be stressed out and you continue to be stressed out and you're not caring for yourself, because I think as coaches, coaches care for others. Who's caring for
Hmm.
the coach?
Yes.
So whether you're working individually or you're working within an organization or a system, there's challenges in both of those. And no greater challenge, I think, was out there. COVID. COVID
Yeah.
coaching was hard. COVID coaching was so hard. And if I think about burnout from a level of being in a system and having 5 or 6 clients each day, and we talked about this, that, I was coaching people in their bathrooms because they were in
Yeah.
a 500 square foot New York City apartment, and they had a partner or a roommate that was also trying to do business in that space. And I could see their shower in the background. They were sitting on the toilet,
Mm.
literally.
Yeah.
And just the stress and strain of that. But I also think that as caregivers, I mean, I'm a firstborn. Not saying that birth order has too much to do with it, but it does.
Mm.
Being firstborn, I was a natural born caretaker. And that's what we do as coaches. We are caretakers. We hold that space for people to share, vent, learn, grow. And when those people are experiencing something that's never been experienced before, like COVID, or maybe it's just a toxic work environment. I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be COVID, but
Hmm.
they're just experiencing something they've never experienced before, then it creates stress. And as coaches, many of us are empaths. And you and I talked about the difference between empathy and compassion, and maybe we'll get to that in a minute. But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
so but the whole thing
Yeah.
of it is that, you know, as an empath, you are taking all of this in daily, every day, every day, every day. And what are you doing to make it, to either put the wall up? Because in coach school for me, it was, a coach is NATO. You are not attached to the outcome.
Yeah.
But I'm going to tell you what, Diego, I'm always attached to the outcome
Hmm.
because that's who I am as a coach.
Right.
So,
Yeah. You know how you started explaining that. I like how you simplified it because I've heard such long-winded explanations, and I definitely tend to be long-winded. But it's this chronic unmanaged stress, right? There's no relief in sight. It seems like, right? Kind of, I hark back to, you said it, my experience in burnout residency. It felt like, yes,
mm,
this chronic stress, lack of sleep, the stress of the system. This is a component of almost, I don't want to say learned helplessness because that definitely ties into depression kind of symptoms, but
hmm hmm
there was this feeling of like, I'm putting all this out, but there's no fuel coming in ever,
right.
and there's not a pit stop where I can then catch up and catch my breath, and like the being exhausted but still having an ocean in front of you to swim across. You're like, I'm gonna drown in this. There's no, I need a buoy every once in a while to recuperate. So it's like this chronic stress that's building and building without ever having a place to um, be worked out or kind of refuel or help you get through this process.
Yeah, it's like I always, and you've heard me say this, that it's pouring out and pouring out and pouring out, but what is filling your cup?
Yeah.
So you've got
Right.
your teacup or your water bottle or whatever, and you just keep pouring out, pouring out, pouring out. Some people akin it to a bank account. You keep
Mm,
making withdrawal, 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 but there's no deposits going in,
yeah.
and eventually you
Yeah.
run out of money or your cup gets empty, and then what good is it?
Yeah. And I
It's
think
just a vessel. It's just a vessel.
Yeah, that's a great way of looking at it. I think it ties into, you mentioned there's certain personality types that are going to be more prone to, right? Because we are natural caregivers. We
Hmm.
Everyone got into coaching, nursing, medicine, whatever, because they want to help others,
Right.
right? And so that's kind of like already innate. It's the same. I think recognizing the same mechanism makes us a powerful provider, makes us be there. Can also, if it's not checked with other tools, can just be that we're only giving away. We're always giving away, and we're all about philanthropy. But if nothing to give away, then you're the one in bankrupt.
Yeah.
And how do you give without becoming bankrupt?
Well, and it wasn't just coaching. So whenever I had my burnout moment, I've had a couple in my career,
Hmm.
but my coaching burnout moment was not just about the coaching, right? Because it wasn't just the coaching. Because in addition to coaching, I still then had to go downstairs every evening and prepare and plan for dinner. I had to make sure the bills were paid. My mother in law was living with us at the time, and
Mm.
that was a terrible situation. So it was, I was constantly on edge. I would go and get my massages I tried to do them monthly. It didn't work out. I would get them every couple of months, and my massage therapist was like, "What are you doing? Your
Mm.
shoulders are a mess." And that should have been my first sign.
That somatic component. Yeah, the mind
Yeah,
body connection.
it's in your body.
Yeah. The signs. Let's talk about it in a second. But it mentioned about debt. To me, I think it's like there's a combination of both our personalities that tend to be givers, but also some of the systems that we work as givers do behaviorally reinforce us giving more than receiving. And then there are periods of time where that's part of it. So my example is always like residency. You're forced to stay up 24 hours on call. Like we know it's not healthy for you. Yet we do it because we say, hey, I'm gonna stay up this night because I'm working ICU that night or the ER and I'm helping someone out. Right. So that some of these systems where we are forced to temporarily, even being a parent, right? So I'm preaching to the choir here, right? Like new moms, they're not sleeping well because every 3 hours the kid is breastfeeding or needing a diaper change or something. So
Yep.
there are sometimes situations or circumstances where we are doing those things. But the problem is it's like credit card; it becomes unsustainable at debt, right? You can do it for a night, but you can't do it every single night. And
That's right.
when you were talking about your burnout and multiple versions, really came to my mind was like a feeling of chronic exhaustion I felt when I was doing burnout. It's like this
Hmm.
you can never catch up on no matter how much you're sleeping, no matter what you're doing. It's like there's still something else to do. And it's right, not just in that category. You're like, I can never catch a break, can never put the mask on myself first, always putting the
Yeah.
mask on everyone else.
Well, I think probably if I look back at it, the first sign of my burnout
Hmm.
was that I stopped loving coaching.
Mm,
Something I was so
yeah.
incredibly passionate about, something that I loved to do. I was I was having anxiety about doing it,
Mm.
or I just didn't want to. Yeah.
That is a really, I think for everyone who's not a caretaker listening to this, that is a really hard place to be as someone when you feel so disconnected from your values there. Okay, man, I definitely want to talk about some of the kind of in general people look at their own symptomatology or kind of form
Yeah.
factors, but that I think if I can share also something I haven't shared very often, especially not publicly, but I think I want to share this here because I think it points to the emptiness inside. I remember being in when you said not loving what you're doing anymore. I remember being on call one time in the ICU, and those are hard months in general, right? It's intense medically, intense emotionally, intense, physically, all those things. And I remember trying to sign out. So you are on call 24 hours a day, and you leave the next day around 7 or 8. 7, the new shift comes in, you give them the information what happened overnight, and you're supposed to go. It was one of those days where like it was just, even though signing out, someone came in a stretch or someone else is coming in. So the empath in you. You're like, well, I'm not gonna go home. I see someone in a stretcher, wherever else is freaking out because someone's like hands on deck,
Yeah.
right? You just do what you gotta
Yeah.
do. And then all of a sudden it's like noon at this point. I've been up since like 6 a.m. the day before. This is not the first, and this story I'm gonna tell. There are two almost identical versions of the story. It happened a few months apart, different rotations in the ICU, but it really was one of those signs that I knew something is deeply wrong. Um, a nurse walked by and had me something called blood gas. So when someone's on a ventilator, you got to check the vent settings because your respirations involve a lot of things, including your pH of your bloodstream and
Hmm.
different things. So we're breathing for someone, so we have to make sure the body naturally does a good job of adjusting breath to breath. Machines don't. So when someone's newly on a ventilator, make some settings change. You do this lab, and you give it to the physician. And they say, okay, this looks good, or let's change the setting, change the rate, change the tidal volume, whatever it is. And this is one of the few orders in the hospital where you can do it without putting the order in the computer. Someone can just manually give the order, say, yeah, make those changes. So I'm walking out my backpack, and some nurse is like, "Ooh, Diego," she's like, "I see you're leaving, but can I ask just one more? Can you just look at this blood gas for me?"
Mm.
Right. And I remember this is almost exactly parallel stories, but it happened twice in my life. It was like I looked at her and I said, I will, but only if I can share something with you. I go, I feel so empty inside. Nothing matters right now. I don't care. This feels like just paper to me. I feel so removed from who this is. I'm like, the answer is make the rate from 10 to 12. That's the answer. But I really have there's like no feeling inside.
Mm.
It's numbing. And to be in a profession where you just are so loving and caring people's kids and feel that disconnect is one of the most ugly feelings. I don't know how to say it. One of the negative feelings you can feel internally as someone who's a natural caregiver, a dehumanization component. So I appreciate you sharing that, Kim. I just want to say that to me was one of my like, this is definitely something
Yeah.
to look at, but maybe it was more late stage, right? I'm sure there were signs I had earlier on, but
Yeah.
just want to share with the population. I think it's not talked about enough
Yeah.
that like
Thanks for
when we feel
thanks for
disconnected to our
thanks for
values there.
thank you for being so vulnerable. That's terrifying. And I think because I found myself through coaching, um, it was scary when I lost myself.
Mm,
And that what you're describing is exactly. I mean, it was shoulders tensed going up the stairs to my office. You know, every call that I was on, people were pouring out to me, and I was not doing anything to care for myself. And then I would run downstairs when at the end of the day, bracing myself for the mother-in-law coming around the corner. That's a
no
whole nother
escape.
podcast. But anyway, but yeah, just being tense and tense and tense all day, every day.
Mm.
And yeah, it got the best of me. And I was sitting on a supervision call with some very trusted colleagues, and 4 or 5 of us on a call. And I'm not a crier, not just not my thing. I just don't do it. Probably need to. I think there's science behind it being really good for your body. But yeah, so all of a sudden I had tears pouring down my face.
Mm.
And at that moment, I had no idea why. I was like, what is happening? And I turned my video off, and I sent a little text, through the system we were using, and I said, I've got to go. And I I went on a leave of absence. I spent 6 months out caring for myself and trying to recover from all of that. Yeah, so there's signs that we don't pay attention to
Yeah.
because, in particular, as women, we have a little bit of an additional mental load. And maybe not a little bit, because I think studies say it's somewhere like 5.7 times more than men. Um,
After working pediatrics with moms, I believe it's probably 10
I
times,
know
if
you
not. I'll
know
be honest
this.
with you, moms and women, I give nothing but hats off to what you do all the time. I really mean that.
So, I mean, things I did not pick up on, that I should have. Or
Mm.
maybe I shouldn't have. Who knows? I mean, right?
Should
Give myself
have.
some
Yeah.
grace and space on that. But there's a few things. So it's that emotional labor that we don't take into account, right?
Mm.
It's the lack of boundaries of not saying, me walking down the stairs and going, I'm not having you right now. No. Not doing that, of feeling obligated to everything. There's very high expectations. Sometimes they're the expectations you put on yourself,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
So, or expectations within a system.
Yeah.
And I will tell you, Diego, as a new entrepreneur, a new business owner, isolation, even in a system, isolation, there's so much research out there right now on
Hmm.
belonging and community. And as coaches, we, I mean, this is where I sit all day. I mean, I'm talking to
Yeah.
people, I'm talking to you right now.
Yeah.
Luna Lovegood is right here, but I am isolated.
Mm.
And so burnout can come from that isolation. But the
Yeah.
last and final thing is multitasking. Oh, please don't. Again, that's a whole nother episode. But,
Yeah.
it is a myth. We lose productivity, we make more mistakes, and you're sitting there trying, and there's no judgment in that.
Mm.
But you are sitting there having a conversation with a client, and your brain is wondering what that ping was on your phone, or your brain is wondering what's for dinner when you're finished,
Yeah.
or oh my gosh, I'm still thinking about my previous client and what's going on in their lives. The brain can only take so much.
Yeah. Something's got to give that empty cup, right? And um, the the isolation is definitely, I think, in general well-being, right? Loneliness is a big community is how we support how we get through everything, right? And
Mhm.
I hear that a lot. Being a solopreneur can be very lonely, and like, how can we help coaches connect more and collaborate? But I think the performance part is was for me an interesting learning perspective, because you think burnout, you're not performing as well. But on the road to burnout, you can still be a really high performer, and often you are, because of either perfectionist tendencies. People think of me as this relaxed person, but actually, for my work, very perfectionistic about my client work, make sure it's highest standard,
Mhm.
right? And then, like, I don't want to not read an article because what if it affects me not knowing someone's X, Y, and Z. And so, when I was going through my experience of burnout in residency, I did not take a leave of absence like I should have. I said missed days because I couldn't get out of bed, and I had
Mhm.
to make them up, and that was a whole big ordeal for myself and who I am, identity, shame, and guilt, and going my value, But one thing when I was talking to my director about this, she goes, "Well, this surprised me, Diego. You're one of the best doctors here. Everyone loves you. You're one of the patients are great with you." And
Yep.
I think in my mind, I was like, "Well, yeah, I'm performing well. So even though people are concerned about me, they're like, hey, when you're down,' I'm like, first of all, besides, I'm going all over the place here. Burnout, isolation will cause burnout. Burnout will also cause you to self isolate often,
Oh, 100%.
right? And so then it's like I didn't want to hear anything. I wanted to just go home. I'm not trying to call anyone. I'm not reaching out to people. That compassion component we'll talk about. I'm not doing any
Yep.
actions for myself. And even when people were kind enough to point out how they saw me suffering, or they saw that I'm not who I am inside, not sparkling,
Mm.
instead of being like, "Oh, thank you," be like, my, I was like, "Yeah, I know I'm really down and depressed. Thanks. What is this? This didn't help anything. Like, thanks for letting me know. I know I'm feeling this way,
Yeah.
right?" So I think it's isolation causes it, and then it becomes this negative cycle, whether shame, guilt, lack of motivation, or doing anything there. And the performance part, I just want to say for everyone, what could be a factor when people aren't performing well, sometimes it could be the last thing that goes is the performing well, because you're doing everything you can to keep the performance up,
Yep.
while on the bottom the system is, your bank account, like you said, is in the red.
Yeah, for sure. And I would say too, there's this element of what we'll call it masking.
Hmm.
Folks have folks used to say to me earlier on in my career, "You are so calm." I mean, I would be in high pressure situations. I was a pursuit coach. So we were doing multi-million-dollar deals, and everybody else was going on around me. And I felt like it was my job to be the calm one in the room. And so I put on that persona, I put on that mask, and it was killing me inside. That's my other burnout story, right? Of just masking to a point to where you you've lost yourself.
You've lost yourself. That came a few times, Kim. I think it's kind of something. Man, it's really, it's funny because we didn't talk about our story so much when we kind of did earlier on, but now it's
Yeah.
kind of coming out. One of When I was in that phase, and I had to make some time up, so I was gonna work a little more to make up the time missed, right? And at the same time, I was helpful for opportunity, glad for opportunity. I also felt devastated. I'm like, another X amount of time here. Like every day is. And what I did to get myself through those last 60 something, I think it was 68 days when I realized this, I got a post-it note. I got a pile of post-its. I just counted down 68, 67, 66,
Mm.
65. And the last one I said, get back to who you are and the things that you love.
Mm.
And I think that
How,
was, I
how
said,
did you
losing
do that?
yourself, the sense of not being connected to yourself,
Yeah.
which is, I don't know how to explain it, but it feels really ugly inside. Like you feel like
Hmm.
it's the first time in my life I felt my body saying, hey, dude, you're dying. Something in you, it was like this, I don't know how to explain it, but I felt like my body was dying. Like that's the feeling that my body was giving me chronic. Like this is the death path.
Yes. I heard someone say the other day, I have a body and it speaks to me. And that's a huge piece, I think. And you and I have talked about nature and we've talked about so many things. But when your body is crying out, we have a tendency first to ignore it. And then it comes to a point, like you said, you just can't ignore it anymore. Because your body will take over. That's like, we work really hard, and then everybody gets sick, right? Everybody comes down with a cold or whatever. Same thing with burnout. I mean, you go
Yeah.
and you go and you go and you go, but how do you return to yourself?
Yeah. So
Or how do
mind
you
body
prevent
can.
it? How do you not even get there? I mean, I'm not promoting somebody getting all the way to burnout and then giving me a call going, I'm burnout, Kim. I want people who are thriving, and I mean, I want both, but I want people, I don't want suffering. So I want people who are out there, who are killing it, who are your high performers, who are just doing the thing, but they're taking their vitamins,
Yeah.
or
Yeah. Yeah.
they're doing their preventative work to be able
Yeah.
to coach or to lead in a way that is sustainable for them.
Yeah, that's good insight. That's a great. I think that's nice in the coaching too, because one thing I say I love about coaching is that it doesn't require dysfunction in order to want to improve, right? You don't have to
Oh yeah.
be burnt out to talk to a burnout coach. Be like, you know what, I'm doing well. I'm going to talk to a burnout coach to prevent and learn earlier on what are my unique signs and symptoms. What are the things
Hmm.
that uniquely fulfill me up, right? Because everyone has things that drain us, things that fill us up, and that's important to understand conceptually. Then each one is going to layer what that is for that person there. So ideally,
Right.
and the way I've framed it, came as like for me, the opposite burnout is like resiliency. It's like how do you? This is not about never falling over, but falling over less frequency, getting less hurt when you fall over, and get up more quickly. Maybe that's my rollerblading analogy, right? Like we're gonna eventually trip over, but like how do we do it much less often? When we do trip, we have our elbow pads on, and so we get up, and then we learn something from that and get up more quickly each time, right? So how this could, I think that's Do you find that people don't think up running burnout only kind of when it's already happened? Is that kind of been your experience?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Um, because they don't know who to talk to about it.
Or maybe they think, hey, I'm doing fine. There's no problem here. I don't need to do anything about it right now.
Or they're in an organization or a system that that promotes high performance to the exclusion of all else,
Mm.
and they don't feel able to talk about it.
I'm glad you brought that up. That kind of reminds me something we touched on before, that sometimes when systems try to address it and they don't do a good job of it, it can actually make it worse. And you might have better terms than I do for this, but my brief story in residency, we had to go. I was overnight call in the ER for a week, right, and had to go to a lecture the next day. And I was trying to skip it because like, oh, I've been at work for a week. I should go home. It was a lecture on sleep and how important it was.
The
And I was
irony.
like, yeah, can I go home and sleep? They're like, no, you have to go sign in with your badge. I was like, but I've been up for 5 days. Like, can I just, I understand, I know the science of it. Just like, it's go to bed is the answer. No, I stay up another 5 more hours, go to a lecture given by a surgeon post call. First slide, like I mentioned, is like, hey, overnight workers live less and you're most likely to die on the way home from a call. And I was like, this lecture is literally killing me. Right. And the advice was like, take naps when you can, or other things I don't even want to repeat here. Right. And so it felt like this is actually even worse because you're telling me you solved the problem. I know you didn't, but now there's no one to actually get help from because you are like, yeah, we did. It felt like, I don't want to use this term, but almost institutional gaslighting, right?
Right.
Like you're telling me it's all fine because you did the pizza party, but I'm like, I'm telling you not fine, but they're like, we already addressed it. So that to me almost was worse than someone saying, so when I did mission trips abroad, people know we have limited resources. We're like, yeah, we're all struggling. That felt much more
Yeah.
fulfilling than this kind of. So I wonder if you could talk about that a little, Kim. Do you see that a lot in like organizations where sometimes they try to do well, but actually this is more of a lip service and actually causes more damage than good, or is that just my experience?
Yeah,
Curious.
no, I think I've worked for quite a few organizations over the course of my career, and I think that sometimes it can be. I think that sometimes it can be. People don't want to address the systemic root of the problem, and so to your point, for you knowing that you came off of a five night rotation, wherever you were, whether it was ICU or wherever you were, you needed rest. You needed rest. But whoever this was, and whoever that was needed a coach, by the way. The just the sheer audacity to tell you to tell you that you need to go to a session on sleep as you're literally probably falling asleep in the sleep session. I had a period of time where I was doing a lot of travel. And so I was, going in and out of different airports. I would leave on a Monday morning or a Sunday. I would work all week. I would come back home on Friday and then get a voicemail as to where I needed to be the next week.
Wow.
So it was really a lot of just I mean, it was a lot of it was a lot of travel. It was a lot of
Yeah,
travel.
yeah, yeah.
And the work itself was sometimes really stressful. And I happened to find myself in St. Louis for a couple of weeks, and I was working on a project, and my ears started hurting. I was like, okay, that's that's kind of weird, but okay, I've been flying a lot. Who knows? So the week went on, and I've literally got a box of Kleenex next to me. My nose is running. My ear is giving me grief. But did I stop? No. Did anyone say, "Hey Kim, maybe you should like take a break or go home"? No. Um, excuse me. I got on the flight that next Friday and literally laid with my head up against the window. I was a window seat kind of
Mhm.
gal at that point. And I'd laid my head up against, and my ear I just, tears running down my face because my ear hurt so bad. I got home, got to my car, and sat in the car and just sat there. And I called my husband, and he's like, "Hey, you're home. Yeah, what's up? What's up?" And I said, "I can't remember how to turn the car on."
Uh,
So all of those things were happening to me, and I was either ignoring them or the leaders around me were ignoring them. And it got to that.
mm,
Like, can you imagine not knowing? I mean, I was plenty old enough to know how to remember how to turn the car on.
right,
But for
right.
some reason, my brain had short circuited.
Yeah. Yeah, I
My
believe it.
husband
The
came
level of
in.
dysfunction is possible, right? It's
No,
hard to believe
totally.
it until you experience it, like how the level of dysfunction it will be affected, right? You think you can't
Right.
get so low.
So my husband came and got me from the airport. So that was completely ridiculous. He had to come and get me from the airport, and he took me directly to the ER.
Yeah.
And my ear was so infected that the doctor was like, "I can't believe you got on an airplane."
And that pressure difference on the airplane must have been, I mean, brutal.
Excruciating.
Yeah,
So I took a week off after that. But I mean, it's like crazy that we have to push ourselves to that point.
yeah,
And I was complacent in it. I mean, I was completely complacent in it because I could have at any point set up a boundary and said, "You know what, guys, I got to go," or
yeah,
"I need to go take a break and go to the urgent care," or something.
yeah,
But I didn't
yeah.
want anyone to think I wasn't committed to what it was that I was doing.
It's kind of it's tied into like kind of some of the values that got us in here to
Right.
this stuff could actually then become detrimental to us, right? Our wanting to do the right thing and appear to be
100%.
the best or do the right for the people we're serving. And Kim, I wonder if we can. I know you've done this deep dive and create your own models for this stuff. So how
Yeah.
would you like if you could talk about maybe how you when you're working with a client, like kind of. I'd love to learn more about what you developed and how you approach this because it's everyone talking about it's so different for each person. But so how do you
Mhm.
start? What systems you have to start applying? Hey, this is what's in common, and each person can put their own individual parts of these parts. How do you approach when you're working with someone who's burnt out or trying to prevent burnout? Where do you start with this kind of work?
Well, first you ask a few questions.
Yeah,
So, I mean, as we coaches do so well,
yeah,
um, just find out where they're at. But you know what? It's really important to me that, and we say it's not about you. It's not about you. It's about the person you're coaching. But I think sometimes, like me, whenever I first got to coaching, I didn't know, no one, I had no clue about values.
mm-hmm.
So I think
Right,
that the first step is identifying values and then finding out where in life those values are aligned and where they are misaligned.
yeah, yeah,
The model that you mentioned is my core authentic leadership model. And there is core is an acronym, so of course it is connection, openness, responsibility, and embodiment. And what I've found in my work is that over the decades, that sounds terrible, doesn't it? Decades,
mm-hmm.
is that when all of those are aligned and it's all connected to one another, there is a flow. And I have an assessment because, of course, I do. Um, sorry, dry in the desert.
Yeah. No, take your
Um,
time. Self care, not selfish. You
as
need to
I
go to
know,
glass.
right?
Go for
Right.
it.
Grace and space. Grace and space. But I created this assessment, And I actually created one for like my regular leaders. I'm air quoting. You can't see it if we're listening to the replay, but air quoting regular leaders. But I tweaked it for coaches.
Okay.
So you can go in and as a coach, and if you're going to be honest, let's be honest with each other. There's, authenticity. We were talking about this earlier too. Authenticity is a buzzword right now. And it can have, my whole premise is based on authenticity. I show up, what you see is what you get 100%. I don't mask anymore because what I've determined is that I'm pouring out too much when I'm masking and not getting poured into.
Mm,
So if you think about authenticity and my core model, there are two sides of that. There's the human centered, which is where I want to live and breathe and what I would love to help and educate coaches on. But there's also an ego based. And when we are authentic from an ego based lens, it just promotes bad behavior, toxic workplaces, stagnant growth. So what I have is I have in this model is the consideration, and we're all going to be ego based at some point. I mean,
right.
it's who we are. It's
Well, we have the
natural.
word
It's
I in a
human
language
nature.
as part of being a human being. There's an I in
Yeah, it's part of being a
it.
human being. I mean, but part of my ego in becoming a coach was, oh my gosh, look at this amazing program. That would be so cool. You know,
Yeah.
that was a little ego based. I'm not going to lie. It was probably a lot ego based. But I mean, the model itself, you get scores, an overall score, but then you also get a score in each of the four pillars
Mm,
so that when we're doing work together, we can dig in to specifics. So if you don't know, gosh, maybe I just want to prevent burnout, or maybe I'm approaching it and I'm not sure where to start. It's just a great way to start.
yeah. Yeah. And you mentioned that difference, with your kind of the air quotes of listening, kind of regular leaders and the coaches. Maybe because this is a coaching podcast. So what do you find? I think we hinted a little bit towards the beginning of the episode. But what do you find that has to be adapted, or what's different from working with coaches? Us kind of caregivers or coaches that you address, or make sure that's brought up compared to, say, the um, non-coaches.
Well, I think that they're pretty similar, quite honestly. I mean, the bigger thing with coaches is again that self-care component of of the caregiver mentality of the constant pouring out, the
Mm,
constant pouring out. So I think as leaders, we can kind of step away from that in a way. The difference is with coaches, you are constantly. There's no, like, you can't step away. If anybody heard Lena left the,
super cute.
she's asking for pets, but but
She's wanting her needs met.
I know she's it's her own self care.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so I think that leaders can retreat to their office and step away from the reality of what's happening on the team from time to time. Coaches can't do that.
Kind of intrinsically, we are faced with the hard part. Is what people coming to talk is the hard stuff. Like
It's always hard. It's
it's
never
always the
good.
hard
It's
stuff.
never a client never comes and says, "Yay, I'm so excited. I have nothing to talk about today."
Yeah, yeah. No, you're right. I mean, I think for healthcare in general, it reminds me. Yeah, you're right. I realized it. I remember at some point it hit me. I'm like, oh, everyone I see, because you think about, okay, when healthcare help out, do good, and it
Hmm.
sounds obvious looking back on it, but to your point, I was like, oh, I'm just dealing with problems all day long. Like everyone
All
comes in
day.
with a problem, they're in a hard place, it's negative, and it's a beautiful to be able to be with someone when they're going through that journey. It's an honor and privilege. It's amazing, but it's also you're only dealing in a problem centered workplace uniform, right? You're not. It's not your event
Yeah.
planner and only dealing with like parties, right? Just part of the work. And so, that's a great point that it's so central. We have to really learn how to work with it because it's not something that's going to happen every once in a while. It's the meat and potatoes.
And and just by the nature of coaching, it is not about you.
Hmm.
So where your leader can come out and say, oh man, tell me about your weekend. Da, 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 da. we don't do that in our coaching conversations. I mean, it is all about the client 100% of the time, or it
Mm.
should be.
Right. So I can see if you mentioned you're sitting all day on the webcam with maybe 8 to 10 sessions. So you're seeing a lot of people, but in those 8 to 10 sessions or hours, you've not addressed your needs or you haven't, it's not a friend when you're their client. You're their coach, you're not
That's
friends.
right.
It's not catching up and you're
Mm-hmm.
contributing your part and they're helping you out. It's not at all what's happening. Good point. So you don't get, that's a great perspective, Kim. That you don't get that, how do my co-founder doing, commiserate a little bit, or how you're doing. With my clients, it's so centered on them. We really have to be that vessel, and it takes a lot of energy to hold that space. Better said, and Kim, how would you say? Additionally, so this is thing me also like. There's term people use like caregiver burnout, compassion fatigue,
Mm-hmm.
right? Those are differently defined as well. In the way I learned it, let me know what you think is like caregiver burnout is only for those who actually are not getting paid for this. So when you're caring for a friend or family, right? And compassion fatigue is something that happens to all of us when we're giving too much of ourselves. Like think about caregiver burnout, but when it's paid, right? So the work that you're doing. And I had an interesting quote I heard by Gabor Mate. He said his version of this was that, well, compassion fatigue, he's like, I don't think it really exists. I think it just means that we're not giving compassion to ourselves because it's our
Mm-hmm.
nature to be compassionate. That's a kind of part of being a human, right? So he's like, I don't think you're giving to giving to. We're not giving enough to ourselves, right? And
Yeah.
I think whether you're in healthcare, your coach, you came into it with this personality, and again, you were taught to focus on others. And when I didn't ask for help in a residency, it was not from an ego perspective, in the sense of like, oh, I know what I'm doing, and I'm the doctor. No, it was from an ignorance perspective. It did not cross my mind to ask for help
Mm.
because I'm like, I know what's going on. Oh, these are symptoms of anxiety, symptoms of depression. Like I can sticky caps. I can tell you intellectually what's going on, so I understand it. I got
Sure.
it. What's going to help me? I already see it clearly, right? It was again not ego, but a lack of even exercising that muscle to ask for help. And I'll be frank with you, I had my last decade as when someone asked to do something to say yes more often because my default is no, I got it.
Yeah.
No, again, not because I want to prove it. I'm like, I just want to burden anyone. And it's a work that I'm still working on. I'd be like, when someone's like, can you do this for you? I'm like, you know what? That would mean a lot to me, actually. Yeah,
Yeah.
if you could do that, that'd be great. And it's still, I would say, it still doesn't feel innate. I'm working on it for so long.
No, because we are conditioned to be to be the one, right? To, oh,
Mm,
I got this. I got it. I take care of it. I'll take care of it. I'll do it. I'll do it. My husband and I have this. We've been married for over 3 decades, and I am just now, and I'm saying this out loud. I am just now like giving him things to do. Like, for instance, our car insurance came in and it went up, as is everything else around the
you're
world. But
right.
it it went up. And
Yeah.
normally what I would do is I would take that mental load on and I would just be like, okay, I guess I need to research some more car insurance. But what I did this time around is I went and put it on his desk. He
Nice.
can take he can
Yeah.
take care of that. He's a big boy. He can take care of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But I normally would just do it.
Yeah.
But I think we sometimes too, for those individuals who are like that, that whether it is from your childhood, your past, or whatever, I have a wonderful, great friend who says performativity. So your value is linked to your performance,
Hmm.
whether it's at work or at home. It doesn't
Right.
matter. I mean, think about going to school
Right.
or just simply being here. I mean, I wanted my 3 kids to adore me. And so how
Hmm.
did I do that? I planned the biggest and the best birthday parties. Now, mind you, they were pretty awesome, and the kids still talk about them to this day. But it was exhausting, and no one helped me. But I didn't ask for help either.
Yeah.
So it's just not in us
It's
to
just not
ask for
in
help.
us. Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
sign of weakness, and that's not true, by the way. But we view it as a sign of weakness.
Yeah, Kim, this is a great transition to. I was gonna say like there's certain things that I found were kind of ahas for me to kind of anchor to when we talk about neural stiffness for our clients, like have some phrase or thing that anchors to you because when you are feeling or so you can lean on it when times are called for. And the um the asking for help, I'm curious what you've heard with your clients, or through some of my personal experiences. Someone mentioned, "Dude, you like helping, right? Doesn't it feel so good to help?" They're like, "You're robbing everyone else opportunity to feel that good feeling from helping you.
Don't
You're
steal
being
my joy. That's my thing. Yeah. I'm
It's like
like,
you're almost being selfish by not letting someone
yep.
buy you dinner the way you want to buy them dinner. Because I'm Hispanic, like,
Yeah.
no, I'm paying for, I'm doing for, it's me, it's on me, right? And I'm like, oh, so that to me, again, certain things, we all think they click. I'm like, oh, like this is also, it's grace to myself, but also maybe to the other person too. Like that helped me be like, okay, I'm being nice to them, but let it be nice to me. It's the whole goal is I should deserve it regardless. But I think for us who are in that kind of headspace,
Yeah.
some of those mental gymnastics can help us then make the behavior change that we need to do to then eventually realize I am worth it, regardless of like for the value of it, right? That was one for me, and also no one was that if I don't take care of myself or don't find a way to make coaching sustainable for me, that I can't give it the way I want to give it.
That's
Right.
right.
And in order to be the
100%.
best provider, I have to do my, people know, my daily afternoon walks. And you don't choose what you like. I say as well to my clients, you don't choose what you like. Just find what you like and try to do more of that. Find out what fills your cup. That's an
Mm-hmm.
explorative process, and find out how to fill it efficiently and when it's running empty, right? Like,
Yep.
but everyone's journey, it could be crocheting or skydiving. What fills your cup is going to be different, but we all have things that fill our cup. I'm curious, Kim, what are some things that maybe for you or some of your clients have been maybe some of those like because really change about mindset shift, right? What are those mindset shifts you think that people can lean onto or kind of um, use as a north star when things feel a little chaotic or you're losing yourself?
Yeah. So we just talked about one of them, and that's asking for help,
Mm,
normalizing asking for help. The other thing is gratitude. Because if you think
mm,
about when you're burnt out, you're feeling very low, you've got cortisol, which is the stress hormone, you know this, going through, it's all in your body.
mm.
You need that dopamine hit. So the best thing you can do is to be with people.
Yes.
Not like you and me are right here like this right now. I'm talking about call one of your neighbors or call a friend and meet for to go to a movie together or have a have a little happy hour or have dinner or coffee or whatever it is, but be with people. Be with people and don't be with people who drain you. Don't go with energy
Mm,
vampires. Don't do that. Go with people who will pour into you.
mm. Right. Those true
Um,
friends are the ones that you kind of just symbiotically.
oh
It's the
my
one thing where
gosh.
like you can both, you're finally both filling each other's cup up, right? It's like it's a long term thing. It's a beautiful part of humanity. For me, it's a
I
spirituality of humans.
literally I have a group of women that are my very very dear friends, and we talk practically daily text wise. But the last time I saw any of them was December of 2019,
Wow.
and I actually saw one of them in March, and I'm pretty sure we hugged each other for 10 minutes.
Mm,
We
that's
just held
beautiful.
on to each other for
Yeah.
about 10 minutes
Connection.
because
Something we
life has
taught.
happened. Life has
Yeah.
happened. She's lost her dad. I lost my dad. We're there for each other, but there's something about that physical presence that is so incredibly powerful. And then you
Yeah.
and I also talked, so that's three. I like threes. But the other thing is to get out in nature, get outside, take your
Yeah.
shoes off, but not here in the desert. Don't do that. But go find somewhere where there's grass
Yeah.
and take your shoes off and just run, just be grounded in the earth. Walk up to a big tree if you're lucky enough to live out in California or in Washington where the redwoods are. Go and hold, just put your hands on a tree. Let the wisdom of nature be with you.
Yeah. This makes me more. It's reinforcing my daily walks to the park because I then always lean against a tree and watch the sunsets. Me on the ground. I take my shoes off
Perfect.
when I get there. If I'm not wearing sandals for my skateboard, I take them off, sit on the ground with my dog, and we both lean. And the connection part, like
Mm,
we talk about connection all the time. I think we use it a lot of times metaphorically,
Yeah.
But physical connection is such an important part of our beings. You look at little kids, they naturally just like pile on each other.
Yeah. It's the
Right? Like, and
embodiment piece.
different cultures
Yes.
have different, personal space. I'm Hispanic, there's a lot less but I'm used to that, and it's like such a another powerful tool,
Mm,
right? That your friend putting their hand on their shoulder, right? Just that being in the
yes.
same physical room with them. So you're right. I think it's like we can things get overcomplicated if you're not sure. It's like see someone or go out in nature, and maybe we can close off here by I'm curious. We talked about this idea of empathy and compassion. Maybe this might come into place because we talk about you said something when we talked earlier about awareness. We think we're self-aware until until we're not, or something, right? What was that phrase you said before? Well,
I
could
can't
you?
remember. I'm constantly like throwing stuff out, and then I can't remember what it was I said. My brain just just goes. Um, yeah, I mean, we think we are. I mean, we're coaches, right?
Right.
We're coaches. We're constantly like looking out for signals and signs, and that in and of itself is an awareness. But we're pouring out into others, and we are aware of others, and we forget to be aware of ourselves.
Okay. Yeah. And in that journey, so I mentioned I had taken this course, compassion, cognitive-based compassion training program, right? And
Yeah,
it was
yeah,
meant for
Emory.
people like us, or healthcare workers, first responders, givers, right? I think one thing that's helpful for coaches to know, or any caregiver, that really opened my mind up. I was like, they put compassion between others and self as two
Hmm.
categories, and they go, you guys are really good at the others. We do not work on this with you guys. That's what we work on with other people. You guys are just have all your chips here in this category, and almost have not developed the self compassion thing, right? And
Hmm.
so, and the way they described it, empathy and compassion, there's different ways of describing it. I'm gonna do my simplified version, right? Was that empathy is the ability to understand a perspective, right? And so people think, oh, people sociopaths aren't empathetic. I go, no, some of them really are. They understand this person is has this insecurity, or this is what drives them. Let me manipulate them. So empathy is just understanding a perspective. So compassion is empathy plus improving condition, or I kind of modified to just helping. They said alleviate suffering. I modified to improving condition. When you give your 3-year-old spicy little niece or granddaughter something, she's not suffering, just want her life to be better.
Yeah,
Right? When I give my
it's
dog a little
action.
belly rub, he's
Right.
yeah, action, right? And so to me, they're talking about others, and my aha was like, oh, this applies for ourselves too. I think self-awareness, while it's so important, we talk about in coaching and in well-being, it also has a diminishing law of returns. If all I'm doing is becoming self-aware and self-aware and self-aware, like in residency, I was pretty aware of how awful the system was. I had a lot of awareness of how I'm not sleeping,
Yep.
I'm feeling like my body's dying, the system is awful, and all it became was self-pity.
Hmm.
And so to me, the difference in compassion is compassion requires an action. It's
Yep.
understanding plus doing something about it. So to my clients, to myself, I always think people use the word, oh, hell, self-compassion. Sitting on a sofa just talking to yourself isn't where's the action? Did you grab a
Hmm.
glass of water or some a protein shake? You go out in the sun for 10 minutes and just feel that warmth on your skin, get the vitamin D. Hold your dog for 3 more seconds. Is there an action there? So just like our client work, I think that's my reminder myself. Action. What's the action I'm doing? If I'm thinking about it long, that's great. But we're only planning. It's the doing that makes the difference, not the planning.
Yeah. And that's why coaches need coaches,
Yes.
because we are
Yes.
hardwired for the client awareness and the client compassion and empathy, but we don't do it for ourselves. I have a
That
coach.
is,
I have
yeah.
a coach.
That's it.
I
Yeah.
mean, yeah. So,
Exactly. That's a great, and that's a great way to end it there. You're right. So we all need, because it's not about knowing what to do. When my coach was with me, I know they're doing, but it's still effective, right? I say coaching is science. When you learn how it works, it doesn't stop working for you.
mhm,
When how instant works and stop working. So when I know my coach is doing, yeah, they're doing the effective tools that helps me grow. And
mhm,
my analogy is that like in my own head, it could be like ruminating thoughts. It's like working on a small little table. I'm always tinkering my skates. It's like work on a small table. You're dropping your screw. Where's the nut? Where's the washer? Right. The coaching space is this big workbench that me and my other, the coach I can lay it all out there, and I see things differently because I'm externally processing, talking a
mhm.
lot. And now all of a sudden in that 1 hour, I spent the whole weekend ruminating about, I actually have full momentum. right? So
Right.
coaches do need coaches.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, Kim, we'll close up by saying, where can people find out more about you, whether they're a coach or a leader who's looking for more support or to connect with you to learn more? Where's the best way to they can find out about you or anything else that you want people to know as you close off here?
Yeah, so thank you for that. You can find me on my website at sageleadershipandwellness.com. You can also find me on LinkedIn, Kim Black. I think you do have to kind of scroll a little bit to find me for some weird reason, but my handle on LinkedIn is Coach Kim Black, so that might help a little bit. I will be rolling out a YouTube channel next month called The Leadership Diaries. So you keep an eye peeled for that.
Mm.
But yeah, those are the ways to find me.
Great. And Kim, I'll say maybe plug in here too, where and we're lucky enough to have Kim in part of the community. So she has a Viley profile, mentioned do some services for coaches. We're going to update that and put that in the link there as well. So if you're looking directly connect with her to ask more of the services, whether you're a coach or a client, we'll have those links in our when we post all this information. Kim, thank you so much for being our guest today. Thank you for all the work you do to support others and help us all live more authentic lives. It's been very enriching. And to everyone listening, thank you for being our audience today, for being part of the conversation. People in this chat saying the body does keep the score. We're just not listening enough, right? So definitely good reminders here, Kim. And as for everyone listening as well, this episode is brought to you by Bobby.io, the all-in-one coaching platform. We do have a special discount running this month. So generally, we have a Salinas 20 discount code. If you type it in, you get 20% off the next 3 months. But we're also launching a new Pro tier with more advanced features and offering people a chance to get in at a lifetime rate of 30% off. Go to Bobby.io for more information if it's helpful for you. Thank you to everyone, and we'll see you next week with Miriam as coming back as our guest for another marketing podcast episode. Kim, thank you so much, and looking forward to next time we connect here.
Thanks, Diego. Appreciate it.
Bye bye.